Please make your way to your seats. Our program is about to begin. Hello, and welcome to our exciting event. We're so pleased to have you here. Before we begin, just a few housekeeping notes. If you'd like to use the restroom, they are located on floor 3. If you have any questions, we have staff located throughout the space that can easily guide you to any answers that you need. Thank you for joining us and enjoy.
Welcome to the most exciting and most exclusive gathering of young entrepreneurs and game changers in history.
I think there are a lot of parts of business that feels unattainable and that feels very old school and suit and tie. And I think there's an element of business and specifically entrepreneurship that's more personal, that's human.
Your best source of ideas, big and small, are the people that work with you or for you.
Just stand out and be different, and again, that was just really something that was it's rarely done, and I tend to do things that are rarely done, so it worked out.
If your heart is pulling you towards creating something on your own, you have to know the moments that you lean into it and you're doing it and you're trying to create it and you're like, I want to give up. I have no idea what I'm doing. What the hell is going on? That is the first indicator you're doing something right.
We need to back entrepreneurs everywhere if we're going to create jobs everywhere and hope everywhere and opportunity everywhere.
Now please welcome Mike Federle, CEO, Forbes.
Thank you, everyone. It is great to be here in the state of Ohio. As you can see, trying to keep up with under 30s keeps us young, but really keeps us exhausted. And a crew came in this morning from Detroit. I thankfully made the right decision to stick around in Detroit only for a few hours last night and then come speeding down here to get a good night's sleep. But you'll see various stages of alertness today. But that comes with the territory, so it's all good. We've been in Detroit now for 4 years, 3 in person. There was the last year that because of the pandemic, that we did a virtual event. And then we did last year and then we did the event this year. And it's all been a tremendous partnership with our friend Dan Gilbert, who you saw on the screen there, and Rocket Mortgage, who I know is deeply engaged here in Cleveland as well. What started really as a list just 10 years ago, Randall Lane, our Chief Content Officer, is responsible for the whole concept. It has now become this global phenomenon. And, one of the most challenging decisions that we have is really, where do we take it next? Here in the States, we've been to Philly, then we were in Boston for 3 years, and then we've been in Detroit for the last 4. And then also around the world, we've been to Europe, to Asia, to Africa, to the Middle East. So we've taken this everywhere. And as we travel around the world, we'll get, presidents of countries, mayors of cities, and people asking us, please bring the under 30 to our city, because an entrepreneurial economy is critical to growth around the world when you look at demographics of young people coming up. So it's a very important thing that we're doing, and we're very excited to be able to bring it to various places. So we look for a number of factors, though. It's the breadth of industry, that there's a base of industry in the location that we have. Education's obviously important, cultural diversity, and most of all, a base of young talent. So, somewhere where we see kind of the next wave of leadership. And believe me, as I've said, we look at a number of host cities and candidates every year. And the Forbes team, led by Sherry Phillips, has traveled all over, coast to coast, visiting different cities who are interested in hosting our Under 30 Summit. And after significant diligence and consideration and a lot of time, we've come to make the decision to bring our Under 30 Summit to Ohio. We're very proud to be doing this, and we're doing something different that we've never done before. Under 30's always been about a host city. Now we're bringing our vibrant Under 30 community, and again, you'll have to trust me, they are vibrant, and showcasing the entire state of Ohio. So Under 30 won't just be held in one city in Ohio, but 3 over the next 3 years. And it gives me great pleasure to announce that we're bringing our flagship conference to Cleveland, first of all, in 2023. Now, as you guys all know, and the world I think knows as well, is that Cleveland is home to the Cleveland Clinic, which I saw right down the street, not far from my hotel, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, where this event is happening today, and an amazing history and culture in Cleveland, as well as the AL Central champs, the Guardians. Is there a game tonight, did I hear? Is that the last game of the season? Yes, there you go. So I think we're all going to have a lot of fun here in Cleveland. And then in year 2, we go to Cincinnati. And I think we've got Cincinnati beaming in a, yay, there they are. All right, we love it. Thanks for joining us. Cincinnati, a lot of people think of as the consumer packaged goods capital of the country, but we know it's so much more, and look forward to bringing the Under 30 so Cincinnati can reveal all the great things about Cincinnati to a bunch of young entrepreneurs in 24. So let's welcome Cincinnati once again. And in year 3, 2025, Columbus, a city, world-class education. Is that Columbus beaming in? Thanks for the great turnout, Columbus. We love it. And what was I going to say here? In Columbus, which I do know quite well, is world-class in education and talent that comes along with being home to more large enterprises than cities like Los Angeles, which I think might surprise some people. So welcome, Columbus, again. For many of us here at Forbes, this feels a little bit like coming home. I spent my wonder years in Columbus, living in Upper Arlington, and many of the Forbes team have deep roots in Ohio as well, having worked here, having been educated here, or having grown up here. So bringing our Under 30 Summit to Ohio is very personal for many of us at Forbes. And, as we travel around the country and the world these days, I'm always amazed what people associate and how people associate with Forbes and what they think of us. Just last week, we were in Singapore with our annual CEO conference, had 450 top CEOs in Asia and around the world, and in the leading tycoons in in Asia. And it's where people associate us with power corridors of business. And that's true. That's one aspect of Forbes. But if you ask 100 people, readers of Forbes, what does Forbes mean to them? They might say it's wealth, it's power, it's business, it's investing. But when you distill it all down and ask about them, and ask for one word, it's success. And Forbes is synonymous with success. For 105 years, we have celebrated those who have succeeded, and we celebrate those who aspire and motivate those who aspire to succeed. So if you make it on a Forbes cover or on a Forbes list, it's validation instantly that you are among the best at what you do. So very powerful place and platform that we have that we like to utilize for good around the world. Now, whether it's our 30-50 summit in Abu Dhabi on International Women's Day or our under 30 summits now held around the world, as I mentioned, the Forbes audience over the years has grown younger and more diverse, which is representing not just those in power today, but those who will shape the future. And when I think about the future and those who will shape it, it's clear that Ohio will be a big part of that equation. You know, Ohio stands at the forefront of America's renaissance in technology, infrastructure, and industrial manufacturing, supporting a new generation of electric vehicles to cutting-edge computer chips, and building on Ohio's rich history of innovation and entrepreneurship. Now, Ohio is attracting, retaining, and expanding business and talent across the state. And as you know, there's a great example, obviously, with Intel's recent decision to invest $20 billion in 2 new semiconductor chip factories. That'll create tens of thousands of jobs here. So entrepreneurs, innovators, and business leaders are proud of the opportunities that they found in Ohio, which, again, a fact I love, is the 7th largest economy in the U.S. So Lieutenant Governor Husted and Mayor Bibb, our friends in Cincinnati and in Columbus, beaming in here, and everyone in the room here in Cleveland, on behalf of everyone at Forbes, congratulations, and we look forward to our journey with you. Now, you might have thought you're done with me, but before I turn over the mic, I want to talk about one great example of Ohio innovation, and that's Jobs Ohio, which is a true public-private partnership, singularly focused on bringing talent and jobs to Ohio. And, you know, this important work is being led by a real visionary who I've had great pleasure of getting to meet over the past year, and that's JP Nassif. And we've gotten to know JP and the Jobs Ohio team through this selection process. And even before that, Jobs Ohio was an important sponsor of our Forbes Power Women Summit. So JP and Jobs Ohio were instrumental in bringing the Forbes Under 30 Summit to Ohio. I told you it was a very competitive jump ball, and we were hugely impressed by JP and the Jobs Ohio crew. So I couldn't be more pleased to welcome Jobs Ohio as our title sponsor for the next 3 years. And in that time, we will look to Jobs Ohio as a true partner who, you know, in our estimation, who else can better help showcase the diversity and entrepreneurial heritage of the state of Ohio. So in that spirit of partnership, let me turn it over to JP. Thanks, JP.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you very much, Mike. We really appreciate it. Welcome to Cleveland, to the land, and to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's just fantastic to be here with you and your incredible team at Forbes. Ohio is a special and unique state, not dominated by a single industry or a large single metropolitan area. We have a very diverse economy, actually the 9th most diverse economy in the country and the most diverse economy in the Midwest. And we have a series of city-states that each have a unique character, but they also have the underlying values of the state of Ohio. If you like big metros, dynamic metros, we've got them. Cleveland, Columbus, and Cincinnati. If you like smaller cities, we've got Dayton and we've got Toledo. If you like charming, hallmark-type towns or wide open spaces, we've got those here too. And we can't wait to showcase all of Ohio, the Ohio we know, to the rest of the world and to the next generation of leaders. You know, as Ohioans, given this unique construct of our state, we don't always agree on who the best NFL team is, or baseball team, or college basketball team or football team, but we do all agree that the American dream is alive and well and thriving here in Ohio. Thanks. And I want to acknowledge some of the leaders of Jobs Ohio statewide network partners who joined us here today as a strong demonstration of statewide support and enthusiasm for this opportunity. Bill Kaler from Team NEO, Team Northeast Ohio, Kim Lauterbach from Ready Cincinnati, Jeff Hoagland from the Dayton Development Coalition, Kenny McDonald from One Columbus, and Mike Jacoby from Ohio Southeast. We also partner with Dean Monsky, who leads Northwest Ohio's partner organization, the Regional Growth Partnership. He could not be here today. And it's also to have the opportunity to see friends from Cincinnati and from Intel's newest home in Central Ohio in Columbus. We thank them for joining us today, and we know that you're going to be busy preparing to showcase Southwest Ohio and Central Ohio during your activations in 2024 and 2025. So our state has endured some economic challenges over the past decades, and thanks to some determination and hard work by many elected officials at all levels, Ohio's business climate is now amongst the most competitive in America. In particular, we've benefited from outstanding leadership from Governor Mike DeWine and Lieutenant Governor John Husted, who work in close partnership with Ohio's federal, state, and local elected leaders. As a result, our state, as you heard from Mike, is experiencing an economic revitalization we have not seen in a generation. And it's happening across the American Midwest, with Ohio leading the way. Last year, in the 10 economic sectors that underpin our state's economy, Ohio produced more new jobs and more payroll from more successful projects than at any time since Jobs Ohio was created as an entity 11 years ago. Companies like Amgen, Ford, Intel, First Solar, SemCorp are investing billions, and there are dozens and dozens of more high-value projects in the pipeline. And why wouldn't they choose Ohio? It makes perfect sense. As you heard, we're the 7th largest economy. We have the 3rd largest manufacturing workforce in America. We have the most productive labor force in the Midwest. Ohio is a day's drive from 60% of the Canadian and American population and an hour flight. Ohio has the talent and is cultivating the next generation of leaders, making the timing for these summits perfect. 45 Ohioans are Forbes 30 under 30 listers. Each year, Ohio colleges and universities graduate 177,000 graduates, with more than 21,000 of those graduates from engineering and science disciplines. And Ohio has a robust network of career and technical centers that offer specialized training and skills so the current workforce is trained to grow into the future. Forbes knows that there's something special happening here in Ohio, and it's the perfect time and place to showcase to the new generation of leaders. And with that, I'd like to introduce the driving force and creator behind Forbes 30 under 30. Please give a warm round of applause to Forbes Chief Content Officer and Editor, Randall Lane.
Thank you. We're so excited. And this really is the perfect venue because everyone here needs to know something. For the next 3 years, we're going to bring more rock star entrepreneurs to this state than you can imagine. So, well chosen. So, but yes, Ohio now is the home to the most exclusive club for young entrepreneurs in the world. So some facts about the Forbes 30 under 30. It's not just 30 people. It's 30 across 20 categories. So that's 600 rock star entrepreneurs and game changers. And it's not just a one-time list. We've been doing this for 11 years. And it's not just America. We have a 30 under 30 list in almost every major country in the world. So in other words, this is a cohort of more than 10,000 global business and impact superstars, and thousands will be now able to experience all of Ohio, including Cleveland, Cincinnati, Columbus, and learn firsthand what Ohio has to offer. Perhaps more important than that, we will be inviting the local community of young Ohio entrepreneurs and go-getters to become part of this global ecosystem, creating networks and opportunities that will allow Ohio-born companies to maximize their potential. And perhaps even more important than that, this event will send a very, very loud signal to the world. At Forbes, we have an audience of more than 140 million people each month, and the Forbes Under 30 Summit attracts press from all around the world. And what it's going to tell the entire world is that that Ohio is open for business, and it's open to business. So we're excited about that. And it's also, by the way, open to everyone. Less than 10% of the venture capital in America goes to women-led startups, yet the Forbes 30 Under 30 is around 40% women. Less than 1% of venture capital in America goes to black entrepreneurs, yet the Forbes 30 Under 30 is almost half people of color. So if you look at the boardrooms, what the boardrooms are going to look like, the boardrooms of tomorrow, the Forbes 30 Under 30 looks like that today. And that's what it's going to look like here in Ohio for the next 3 years. So the timing, as JP mentioned, the timing is so great. What's going on in Ohio, we've noticed, it's amazing. And what's going on in the world. I mean, we're talking about the first time in human history, thanks to technology, that it's actually not a disadvantage, and in many ways, it's an advantage to be young. We have digital natives. We have mobile natives. These are the engines of growth. So the 30 Under 30, the 30 Under 30 honorees were literally born with a smartphone in their hands. Their brains are wired in ways that are different from most of the people in this room. They're comfortable with risk, and they're comfortable knowing that the creating $1 billion business doesn't require you to immediately build a factory. It just requires a few lines of code, and so that's what we're trying to unlock. So like Mike mentioned, a lot of us, this really does feel like a homecoming. I spent my summers growing up in Cincinnati with my uncle Chet. He was actually an entrepreneur in Cincinnati. A green tech startup was called SolarCrete, which was about 40 years ahead of its time. But I got to go to a lot of Reds games in the George Foster era, and I got to go to Kings Island a lot, which was great. I also have a grandfather who was the mayor of Worthington for many years. So, here's to the politicians here in Ohio. I get it. And here in Cleveland, I've come to know many of the best microbreweries in Ohio City. So I thank you guys for that, too. So anyway, this really does feel like home. We can't wait to have an amazing 3 years with all of you. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Randall. We're looking forward to this partnership. So next, I'm pleased to introduce Ohio's Lieutenant Governor, John Husted, a career of public service. He's a former Ohio House Speaker, a former Ohio Secretary of State. He was also an All-American football player and champion at the University of Dayton. The Lieutenant Governor knows the importance of teamwork, and he knows how to lead. He often says, "Those who collaborate best win," and that approach has served him and the state of Ohio very well. He is a fierce advocate for Ohio's economic development and supporting our workforce through better education and training. Please welcome Ohio Lieutenant Governor John Husted.
Well, good morning. I have my over 50 uniform on for the Under 30 Summit. But I have been trying since I was under 30 to have a moment like this where we get to showcase Ohio. So it's a wonderful celebration. Thank you, Forbes, for your decision to choose Ohio for your world celebration of the innovators and entrepreneurs who are under the age of 30. And I will tell you, these are going to be awesome events because if you've ever been around a big group of young entrepreneurs, the energy is just infectious. I love to be around young entrepreneurs who they are such an inspiration. They have so much energy, and we are going to be able to highlight what Ohio's doing and what all of those young innovators and entrepreneurs are doing in our world to make our world a better place. Let's not lose let's not lose the value of that impact where everybody's going to get to learn about the great ideas from these young people about how the world over the next 50 years will be such an amazing place thanks to the work that they do. It's great to be able to highlight all of what Ohio has to offer. Certainly it's going to be fun to start here in Cleveland, head to Cincinnati, and then ultimately Columbus to highlight the great entrepreneurial environment we have in our state as well. Just quickly, one of the things that Governor DeWine and I created is something called Innovate Ohio. And I lead that organization for the administration, and it was created to promote policies and strategies to make Ohio the most innovative entrepreneurial state in the Midwest, which I believe we have, and we're going to do even more. But I want to just highlight a couple of things that are going on in this state for that entrepreneurial climate. First of all, one of the things we did is the IP promise. One of the frustrations people have, we've got all these great institutions of higher learning, and they have all this great intellectual property. Ohio was the first state in the nation to standardize the process of taking that intellectual property to the marketplace for entrepreneurs and businesses across. It's just a simple process now to make our IP part of the entrepreneurial culture. And then the innovation districts. The innovation districts in Cleveland, Columbus, and Cincinnati, huge investments in healthcare innovation, research development, and STEM talent to highlight the amazing things that are happening in those areas in Cleveland, Columbus, and Cincinnati. And then an initiative to attract more venture capital. And I hope that's a big conversation that we will have as part of these meetings, that there are great entrepreneurs that do not live on the coast who need access to that venture capital, and we are doing a great job of being attractive to Ohio by having now the lowest capital gains rate we've had in over 40 years to create a very entrepreneurial climate for business and investment. And with this announcement with Forbes today, Ohio will have a platform to highlight the success story that we have created in this state to the entire nation and world. Ohio is a state on the rise, it's been noted, but in the EV space, in automated flight and driving systems. I mentioned healthcare, but it's biotech, gene and cell therapy. Some of the most cutting edge research in the world is going on right here in Ohio, and those initiatives are being commercialized to improve the quality of life for people all over the planet. High-tech manufacturing, I think we are the go-to state now in this nation for high-tech manufacturing, and I don't need to go on, but we are in the process of building the largest semiconductor production facility on the planet and building that entire ecosystem out in Ohio. So if you're looking for a great place to do business, an affordable place to live, a high quality of life, and yes, great weather. Have you been outside today to see this? And all kinds of water. Ohio is calling you, and we look forward to working with Forbes to highlight the great environment we've created in this state. Thank you very much.
I think he's bringing the energy today. Even though I learned today that this is now old school, so I should have lost the tie. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. And now I'd like to introduce Cleveland's Mayor, Justin Bibb, who I've had the pleasure to get to know and to partner with on multiple projects already. Mayor Bibb is committed to empower Cleveland's neighborhoods and to building on its history of medical research, manufacturing, financial services, and beyond. He is cultivating a city reinventing itself as a destination for young entrepreneurs, startups, with a diverse arts and entertainment and a sports heritage with fans known for their pride and reputation for never giving up. In his first term, Mayor Bibb is forging important partnerships with Jobs Ohio, the business community, and many others. And he was one of the driving forces behind this Forbes 30 Under 30 Summit coming to Ohio. Thank you, Mayor Bibb. Please give him a hand. Right on, man. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, JP, and welcome to the land, Forbes. Really excited to have you here. You know, I was sitting there listening to Randall, and Randall, for 5 years, I was waiting for my nomination to be on Forbes 30 Under 30. But I guess picking Cleveland as the first city in the state to host this amazing conference is a solid consolation prize. So thank you so much. And this is a big deal for our city and a big deal for the state. And this conference hits me on a personal level. When Forbes talks about diversity, it's not just lip service, it's real. You know, I have a dear friend, his name is Brandon Bryant. He's one of the co-founders of Harlem Capital Partners. He and I were two working class kids from Cleveland's East Side. We went to high school together. And we both went away to college. He went to Ohio State. I went to college in DC, and we both spent time in New York. And I came back to Cleveland recognizing that I realized that Cleveland was on the precipice of a brand new renaissance nearly 8 years ago. And in 2019, I was catching up with Brandon in New York. And before I decided to run for mayor, I was making my pitch to Brandon. Brandon, come back home, come back home, come back home. And he says, Brother Bibb, 5-10 years, I'll see you in Cleveland. I said, okay, I'm still pitch you. 2020 happens. Get a call in March of 2020. Brandon Bryant said, it's time to come home. And Brandon Bryant and Harlem Capital Partners was nominated by Forbes 30 Under 30 as one of the top black founders of one of the largest VC firms in this country. And that nomination propelled them to a whole nother level. This is why this conference is so important. I believe with this conference, we can expose different entrepreneurs all across our state, but also all across our city about the promise of economic freedom, about the promise of entrepreneurship, and to know that Cleveland has always been a part of America's great promise, from Rockefeller to Carl Stokes. And this is why this conference is so special to me as the city's first millennial mayor of Cleveland. So again, I want to thank Forbes for choosing Cleveland. Thank you for choosing Ohio. And know that this is our moment and our time to shine. Thank you so much. We'll see you next year.
Now we're going to move into the next phase of our event today, a panel discussion. A unique panel discussion on the impact the Forbes 30 Under 30 activations will have on the city and the region. And I'd like to welcome to the stage Bill Kaler, the CEO of Team Neo, Ray Leach, CEO of Jumpstart, Marie Scalia, the CMO of Destination Cleveland, Baiju Shaw, the president and CEO of the Greater Cleveland Partnership, and our panel moderator, Telyanjay Thomas, the Chief Operations and Relationships Officer at Jumpstart. Thank you all for being here. We're looking forward to the panel discussion.
Excellent. So I have one very important question for this esteemed panel. What does Forbes 30 Under 30 mean for Cleveland? Marie.
Well, thank you everyone for having us today, and we're so incredibly excited about this event. I think this opportunity is really going to be a moment where we can really show off Cleveland to the world and showcase our essence of Cleveland, which is really centered around sports, culture, and rock and roll, and will continue to help strengthen the perceptions of Cleveland as a place to live, work, and visit.
Excellent. Ray, what are your thoughts?
So I'm with an organization called Jumpstart, and our mission is to fully unlock the potential of entrepreneurship to transform our community, whether that's our city or our state. And the backbone of our work is capital, services, and connections. And really the highlights of the comments earlier today about the connections, Jumpstart's been super focused along with partners across the state of Ohio in building a robust set of connections and a network in the state. The Forbes 30 Under 30 conference is going to allow us to leverage all those connections all across the globe.
Very excited to have this energy for our entrepreneurs. Bill, share your perspective.
So those of you who know Team NEO, you would know that we are actively engaging companies in the community about business investment. Our team directly talks to about 600 companies a year through our partners, maybe 1,000. And the key issue that they talk about that impacts or puts a governor on their growth, and that is access to talent. So you heard earlier today from a number of speakers about the energy, the creativity, the capabilities, the technology savvy that young people are bringing. And we're seeing it in our own organization as we're thinking about new ways to engage companies. Having the opportunity to bring that group of people here to highlight what they can do for the industries we have here that we have thrived on, that have thrived here for a long time, but are seeing a transition as emerging technologies are becoming parts of their value proposition, their business models, I think is really important and exciting for our community as we think about EV transition, as we think about semiconductor transition and so forth.
Excellent. Beiju.
So for us, it means a couple of things. First of all, for those of you that were at the airport event last week with Jobs Ohio, with the mayor, with the lieutenant governor, said it then, I'll say it again, as we've said it before. When we're all in this together, we all win. The civic system, when it's working together in partnership, has been referenced earlier, we can do anything, and this accelerates it. And so bringing this to Cleveland is just another great example of that. Now, what this means for Cleveland, I think a number of our speakers have already said it, but I'll punctuate it a bit. The first is the spotlight. It's about the superstars and the social media influencers that Forbes is bringing from around the country, around the world, to our region and to our state. It's an opportunity for us to highlight our under 30s, the art creators that are working in business and research, but also in arts and culture and food and fashion, and showcase those individuals for the rest of the world. And it's an opportunity for us to invite those innovators to be a part of our region, the ones that are coming in from outside of greater Cleveland and outside of Ohio, and to let them know that Cleveland is not just a great region on a great lake, but it's also a place that embraces those that dare to dream and dare to change the world.
Wonderful. So we've heard 4 different perspectives of why this is meaningful for the state of Ohio and Cleveland in particular. We are looking forward to welcoming innovators, entrepreneurs, artists, and just talented folks across the region. And so thank you for your partnership, your enthusiasm, and your energy. And we're looking forward to a great 30 under 30 over the next 3 years. Thank you all.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. And now our second panel discussion is a deeper dive into Forbes 30 under 30 with some familiar Ohio names on their list. Please welcome Max Brickman, founder of Heartland Ventures and a 2022 Forbes 30 under 30 lister. John Grace, Chief People and Culture Officer with Jumpstart. Sarah Gracious, Director, Cleveland Talent Alliance. And our panel moderator, Sherry Phillips, Chief Sales and Marketing Officer for Forbes. You know, Sherry has been helping to shape and promote Forbes 30 under 30 platform for over a decade. And she's also been on the ground and running as a critical partner to stand up to make this day possible. Sherry and her team, as you know, just arrived from a successful 4-day activation in Detroit, and we know she will do what it takes to make Ohio the best summit Forbes has ever had. So we're interested in the next panel. Thank you.
I am so committed, not from here, but representing Cleveland today. My 4 children will not be speaking to me tonight, but it's for you guys. So here we go. I'm excited about this panel because really this is what Under 30 brings. It's about entrepreneurs, how we celebrate them, how we engage, ignite, but really it's how do we inspire them, right? So I love all these 3 backgrounds because they're all interweaved together. Sarah Grace is the Chief Talent Officer here really in Cleveland, bringing, and as JP mentioned, the state of Ohio graduates 177,000 people a year, so that's a pretty big sales job. How do you go about not only attracting young students to the state of Ohio and Cleveland specifically, and then also keeping them here?
Yeah, great question. And I think, first of all, just to say the Talent Alliance is so excited with the timing of this summit coming to our city, because one of our goals aims to highlight Cleveland as a place to live and work to those area college students already in Cleveland, thousands and thousands, as we heard earlier, and recent graduates in our area, along with early career professionals who haven't even yet considered Cleveland as a place to live and work. And I think through this summit, we will add excitement to that very sentiment in highlighting things that we heard from the previous panel: arts, culture, music, food, nightlife, and business opportunities as well. And we're really excited that the summit will help amplify stories of our current up-and-coming change makers and innovators who are already starting to pave a new path in Cleveland. So we're just super excited at the timing of all of this.
Great, thanks, Sarah. And John Grace, you, again, have kind of a similar role, but 15 years at some major companies, and now as a Chief People and Cultural Officer at Jumpstart. I love that title. So tell us about how you've applied kind of learning from big business and also your human resources background in not only, I think, getting them here is one part of the job, right? So that's the first part of the sales job, and then how do you retain them here?
Yeah, most certainly. Thank you for the question. This is a great opportunity, of course, for the city of Cleveland. And, Ray Leach, our CEO at Jumpstart, said one word earlier: connections. And I believe the connections are a great way to lead to community. Community is going to be the essence of really keeping the team members that you bring to Ohio in Ohio. Investing in them, showing a vested interest, really going over and beyond to create not just balance, but create empowerment, create opportunities for social impact, and also just ensure that the team members who are coming to Ohio certainly understands what it means to be a part of the Buckeye State. So going over and beyond, collaborating, putting one's team above one's self-interest, and just showing that, regardless of where you started, you can always create a better tomorrow. And I think that's what 30 Under 30 will bring, and that's what certainly we stand for at Jumpstart, and I think the great state of Ohio embraces.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it. And last but not least, we have Max here. Max Brickman made the Under 30 list in 2022 in venture capital. He also sold his first company at the age of 14. So it's a little intimidating sitting next to you, I'm not going to lie. But tell us what it was like to make the Under 30 list, because we like to ask that question a lot.
Sure. No, I was really honored to get it. I did not expect that I was going to. But Ohio is already pretty welcoming and collaborative, but I think just being on it has led to a level of access that I've never experienced before. So it's been an honor.
That's great. All right, so talk to us about Heartland, because it's an amazing, what you're doing really to bring venture capital to the Heartland community, but really from a global perspective. Walk us through that a little bit.
Yeah, so our model is very much built on the fact that there's a huge amount of resources in Ohio and in the Midwest that are sort of underutilized or just sort of overlooked by a lot of the country. And that's really in the form of buying power and expertise from the industries that are already here. The existing corporates that are here and that have been successful, those are huge potential customers for technology companies that are all around the world, that are on the coast. And if you're developing a technology company that is selling into one of these industries, you should be here. Maybe you're not headquartered here, but you should absolutely have an office here so that you can get that level of feedback and that line of communication between the customers. So we're very much focused on that, where having the conference here, I think, provides an opportunity to bring other founders to the Midwest and show them, again, the level of resources that exist here and why they should be here and not San Francisco.
So Max was with us in Detroit. As you heard Mike Federley say, a lot of us are coming in hot from Detroit. But one of the great things, we cut the video that you guys saw in the opening yesterday backstage in Detroit, and there was a glimpse of Steve Case up there, and I know a lot of you know him here and have worked with him over the years. He was there speaking to the under 30 community, and he's got a new book out called The Rise of the Rest, which I'm sure you're all familiar with that concept. But he had a quote in the beginning of the video and speaking with Randall, and he said, "We need to back entrepreneurs everywhere. If we're going to create jobs everywhere and hope everywhere, the opportunity needs to be everywhere." And so I think that just for me just is the exact reason why we're here in the state of Ohio and creating jobs, creating entrepreneurship, creating those moments and those moments of hope for the next generation. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sherry, and to our panelists. And thank everyone who joined us today on the stage, in the audience, from locations in Cincinnati and Columbus. Lieutenant Governor Husted, Mayor Bibb, thank you for being here, other elected officials. And I want to thank the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and their long-serving board member, Jerry Sue Thornton, who's also a board member at Jobs Ohio, and I believe our board chairman, Bob Smith, said he was going to be here today. I want to recognize him. We want to thank you for your hospitality at this very unique and amazing, gift to Ohio and the world of music. And we want to thank Mike, you and Forbes and the whole team for selecting Ohio and providing us with this amazing platform and opportunity to showcase our state to the world. Thank you all. Have a wonderful day. Let's go do it.
Thank you all for joining us. If you have any questions, please be sure to direct them to the Forbes PR team. Members are in the audience. Have a great rest of your day.